Welcome to Small Biz Life, episode 86, Finding Your Daily Focus.
Huh?
What, where?
Hey.
Ooh.
Does this sound familiar?
Oh my God, I have so much to do today.
Don't forget to breathe.
But I have almost 400 emails in my inbox and 30 phone calls to make.
Have you looked into getting a virtual assistant yet?
Oh, and I need to schedule all my social media posts.
Did you drink anything today?
I had coffee.
Did you eat today?
Did I mention coffee's a bean?
This is Small Biz Life.
Hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of Small Biz Life. My name's Kristin Ingram.
And I'm Jeffrey W. Ingram.
And we are a husband and wife team of small business owners who are walking through this journey with you that we call the Small Biz Life.
Yeah.
Because we know that as a small business owner, there's a lot of crap involved in this.
Yeah.
Which can help you lose your focus.
Yes, it will. It most definitely will.
So if you're a returning listener, we're so glad that you're with us again this week. And if you're new to the show, we hope that we adequately educate and entertain you so that you will be hitting the subscriber button.
That's right. No, always coming back for more or just having it delivered to you. It's like a free little pizza of entertainment that comes straight to your phone or computer, wherever you subscribe from.
I don't know if we are as good as a pizza of entertainment. I think that you're overselling it a little bit. But, you know, we don't take ourselves really seriously. We like to have fun on this show while, you know, sharing some really useful information with you. So, you know, this episode was inspired by a post in our Facebook group, which if you want to join the conversation there, you can go to facebook.com/group/smallbizlife. But, you know, Mary had posted that she was having trouble focusing, right? And, you know, everybody has trouble focusing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want any of you to think that you are the only one.
Yes.
We're looking at, Jeff and I are really into brain science right now. And so every time that we're researching an episode, we always want to look at the brain science behind it. So according to a 2005 study, the average employee focuses for 11 minutes before getting distracted. And
to sort of layer onto that one, I've actually seen a little bit newer studies, not on this specific topic, but on about people's attention spans. And the minutes that they are now are even shorter than that. It's, I believe, 8 minutes now.
Wow.
Is the length of people's attention span.
That's crazy. And to get back to the original task, it takes an average of 25 minutes if you get back to your original task at all.
Yeah. Which means from a productivity standpoint, you know, you've just lost almost a half an hour.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're like us and you work in hour work blocks, you've lost half of that.
Right. And on average, people switch activities every 3 minutes. So if you kind of think of like, okay, you're working on something and you get an alert on your phone or your phone rings or you get an email. On average, people switch every 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, a lot of it is the way technology is structured today, the way we consume information. It's teaching. We're teaching ourselves to have shorter attention spans.
Right. So, you know, a couple reasons why we get so distracted. You have to understand that our brain evolution has not caught up with all of the technology and the distractions that we have. There's just too much information floating around.
Yeah.
It was really interesting while I was doing the research for this, and you can actually get the link to the article for the show notes for this episode at smallbizlife.com. The article stated that the Sunday New York Times contains more information than an 18th century French nobleman would acquire in his entire lifetime.
You know, and that was, you know, sort of near the peak of French, you know, power in the world.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think about that, like that one newspaper, and that's like one edition.
And think just from all of the things that you can get to, you might see some New York Times articles in a day, but how much more data can you get to and just even get just notifications for on your phone? If you have notifications set up for all of your apps, for everywhere you get news, you're just going to get bombarded all day because there's always something happening that people feel it's worth telling you about.
Right. And, we are too overconnected. They've actually found, scientists have found that always being connected has the same impact on your IQ, which your IQ is your ability to learn, as skipping a night's sleep or getting high.
Yeah. And wow. I mean, if you're going to do it, just go for it. Have fun. Why do it on your phone?
I know. If I'm going to lose IQ points, I don't want it to be on my phone.
That's right. It's not going to be to the bubble game. Well, actually, it probably will be at times, but normally not. But, the thing is, and this is a great point, and this kind of goes back to Kristin's point with the brain not evolving. It takes a long time. And I think it's one of the things that, you might or might not believe in evolution, because the thing is, for the body to make changes, it's vast periods of time. So we can't really see it happening. But, computer power has doubled every year. And I know they keep saying they think it's going to run out. They think it's going to run out, and it might at some point, but it's been doubling every year for a really long time. And it keeps improving so they can process and get more stuff out to us. They can find out what we like a little bit better, a little bit faster, and get more relevant stuff out to us a little faster. And it makes it harder to bypass this stuff. So because of the length of time it takes for the brain to be able to adapt to absorb more knowledge, it's easier for us to adapt to the technology and just get distracted.
Right.
And in a world with, 144 character discussions with people, that the reason that works is because people think in smaller and smaller bits, including all of us. And it's something exceptional. It's like, don't think like you're a bad person because you feel distracted all the time and you're connected all the time. There are reasons for that too. It's like they've proven that people prefer electrical shocking themselves over being bored. And so a phone's much more attractive than that. Right.
No, I can't remember what we were watching, but they were talking about how we've kind of programmed ourselves like we don't want to be bored. Mm-hmm. So the second we are like standing and waiting or sitting and waiting, we pull out our phone.
That's the decision. That was the decision-making great course.
Oh yeah, which is fantastic on the Great Courses Plus streaming service. We learn a ton of stuff on that. That is actually usually our nightly viewing. So we're getting a little bit of education while we veg. I think we all get frustrated with ourselves because we believe that we should just be able to refocus. The problem is that your attention is a limited resource. Your ability to focus is a limited resource.
All of your cognition is a limited resource. It takes up energy.
Right. Every time you switch tasks, it requires focus, right, for you to start engaging in that task. And the act of engaging focus uses up a tremendous amount of glucose, right? And glucose is, the sugar that's in your blood that helps provide energy. And so when you are constantly switching focus, you are asking your body to provide a lot of glucose in order for that to happen. So, that's why, eating at, your 3 meals a day,
regularly
scheduled is very important. And, you want to make sure, if you feel like you're really kind of bottoming out focus wise, it may be because your glucose is too low. So
that's typically the two fastest ways to to maintain energy is to eat a healthy portion of food 3 times a day for most people, and to drink water.
Right.
Dehydration will also cause this kind of energy burn, but really the thing is you have to understand that the reason every creature doesn't have, the cognition of humans is because it burns a lot of energy to have our brains. And when we use them, it uses even more of that. So we have to be sure to take care of it.
Right. No, exactly. So we wanted to give you some tips on how to improve your daily focus. So these are going to be really concrete tips. I know that we've talked about we've talked about focus a little bit before, but I think it was really abstract and over the long term.
Yeah.
And so we want to give you some quick things that you can start doing like right now in order to improve your focus for tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I mean, literally, and I've said this in our HQ group, but I wish I would have filmed myself going through a day just 3 months ago. 3 months ago, it would be hopping to thing to thing to thing every 15 minutes, probably max. Not really getting to most anything I need to get done, getting frustrated, which also helps lead towards that burnout cycle that I dislike. But really, very quickly, I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't claim to be. But most people will look at me now and say, how do you focus and get so much done? Where before most anyone who would have viewed me would be like, wow, you're really scattered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, we've shared a whole bunch of the stuff with the HQ group before because they kind of get our content before anybody else does. But some things you can do the night before.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is one thing that has really helped me not only focus better during the day, but it also helps me get to sleep at night. Yeah. So this is like kind of a dual thing because we talk about how important sleep is, but I know a lot of small business owners complain that they can't get their brains to turn off.
Yes.
So one thing that I've started doing is I've started doing some very simple journaling before I go to bed. And there are 4 things that I write down in the journal. So literally like it's a page in a journal. Sometimes I kind of reflect on some things that happened during the day. If there are some things that are kind of like lingering in my mind, not so much tasks, but just like feelings or, something that happened during the day that I just I need to get that out of my brain and say, you know what, I've processed this. So that's the first thing. I kind of call it random thoughts because they're not really tasks, and they don't fit into the other categories. The next thing I write down is I write down what I want to get done tomorrow.
Yeah.
And usually it's, my 3 must do tasks for the next day. And we're going to talk about those a little bit in a couple minutes. Then I write down a win. I always write down a win. Because, I think a lot of times, especially if you had a really long day, you kind of forget that anything went right that day.
And most people won't take the time to note them as they happen. And I highly encourage that. If you get that comment from a customer or from a family member that makes you smile, it's always good to take note of it when you can. But it's really good, once again, before you go to bed, to reinforce that, is to sit back and think on one of that really made you smile that day, the one that really sticks in your mind.
Right. And, and some days, like I'll tell you today has been a difficult day. I came home from an appointment and I had a very important call from a client and, it was not good news. But the thing that I reflect on is that I am so important to that client that I was the second phone call he made. And so to have that kind of impact in a client's life is really meaningful.
Yeah.
Right. And it shows that you are really making a difference and you're helpful.
Yeah. And I know one of the things that sometimes discourages people is when they get involved in the drama. And there are certain people that bring the drama, and I can understand it with those kind of people. But in general, when people come to you with really tough issues, or especially out of the ordinary kinds of requests because of problems that they're having, don't try and brush them off necessarily as drama. Maybe I'm an overly compassionate person, but I'm a big believer that try and use your time, try and use this planning to build in some time to where you actually have the chance to help people who you believe really need it, that you can really actually help when you have those opportunities, because that's really what builds your friendship stronger. That's what makes your family connections tighter. And it was just like literally yesterday, I was down helping a friend of mine who hurt his back in his bed. I mean, and that's tough for a guy to ask for that kind of help, and it's kind of weird for another guy to be the person to have to do it, but I was his only choice at that point, which I feel bad for him for because it was me, but it was like he needed my help and I could take some time out of my day, reschedule the things I have, be a little agile with my time and be there and be able to help him out.
Right. And just think about a couple months ago, you wouldn't have been able to do that.
No.
So that's one of the cool things about our business.
Yes.
So once I put my wins down, then I always list something that I'm grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how small it is, I've been grateful for, really big things like, our community and how awesome you guys are. And there have been days that I'm like, I'm really thankful for my pillow because they are the most awesome pillows on the planet. And they're comfortable and my back doesn't hurt anymore.
And really, she's saying the brand of my pillow and her being possessive at the same time. So it's her my pillow.
Yes. And, my
they
pillow.
They are really incredible.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's funny because it's like, so it doesn't have to be something monumental. Sometimes I'm really happy for cold 911 tea. That's something that, I drink almost every afternoon because it helps with my allergies. Yeah. So it's little, I mean, it doesn't have to be like, some big wins and things you're grateful for do not have to be monumental.
Mm-hmm. And some days it's really little things, like if she had got that phone call, but she had a really bad day herself beforehand, maybe just get through that phone call is the thing you're grateful for.
Right. Exactly. So they don't all have to be monumental. But so, to recap, random thoughts, my 3 must-dos for the next day, a win, maybe 2, if it's a really good day, and something I'm grateful for.
Yeah. And really the thing is too, and you can sort of tactilely put down your transition meditation so you can go to sleep, right? So it's those thoughts that come into your head that don't go away. You're acknowledging them, you're writing them down, and that's kind of a way of releasing them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to do that, and you can clear your brain out. And trust me, Kristin and I both have brains that have a tendency to go crazy and sometimes try and pull in too much at one time. And so we really understand people who struggle sleeping because their brains won't shut down. But these kind of things really help your brain shut down.
Oh, yeah, it definitely does. Okay, so, now what do you do the next morning? Mm-hmm. Okay, so at the end of my morning routine, every morning before I start working, I sit down and do my daily planning. Mm-hmm. Now, part of my daily planning is already done because I did it the night before.
But you should reflect on it.
Right. So what I do is I take out my small biz daily focus planner, which we're going to tell you how you can get your small biz daily focus planner. And I write down my 3 items from my must-do list. Yeah. Then I will look to see if there's anything in the task management software that we use that I'd like to get done that day. And I put those in the other task list. The reason that I limit my must-dos to 3 things is because if you have 7 things that you must get done every single day, you're, for the most part, you're probably not going to get all of them done. But 3 must-dos you can probably get done in a day. Yeah. We're trying to increase your wins. We're trying to create momentum for you.
Yeah. And the thing is, that's what we're really doing too, is we're trying to set a boundary for you, an expectation. I need to get 3 things done. So if I get 5, 6, 7 done, that's an awesome day and you crushed it. But if I get 3 done, instead of punishing myself, my brain's like, that's the number we're trying to get. That's what we're trying to get there. And so it helps you hold momentum and keep moving forward. That's the reason why it's important to do this, because especially if you're a one-person shop, and that thing comes up where you all of a sudden have to go down and help a friend out, there's 0 chance of getting 7 things done. There might be a chance to get 3 things done, And if you can't, for me, I am very good at rescheduling my time now because I'm not stressed out to the fact that I had 74 things I need to get done today. I could only mark off 3.
Right.
Horrible. And
Fail.
I failed today.
Yeah. So, spend a little bit of time every morning, plan out your day. Okay. You want to make sure that you don't check your email or social media first thing in the morning. I know we've said this before. If you're a longtime listener, you're saying, I know you guys say this all the time.
And trust us, a lot of mornings when we're sitting there looking at our social media email, we're like, oh God, it's tough.
It is so hard. I will tell you, it is really hard, especially, your alarm goes off and, you've got 18,000 notifications in Facebook, because you haven't been on it in 10 hours. But what that does is email and social media have the same effect on your brain as trying to refocus on tasks, but it happens at a much faster rate. So, if you've ever checked your email first thing in the morning and you were exhausted and you had a lot of trouble focusing, it's because you've burnt through all your attention for the day.
Yeah.
Because literally every single email is a new agenda to focus on.
Yeah.
Okay. Every social media post is a new thing that your brain is trying to focus on. And so you're burning through energy really quickly. You're burning through focus really quickly.
And there are some days, and I've had a few this week, where you're going to have to work longer hours because of deadlines or whatever. You have to plan in some distractions within there. You have to.
Yeah, absolutely. When you have those random thoughts or, oh, I should have put this on my task list, but I didn't. I want, I either keep my daily focus planner or I keep a notebook on my desk. And I like to use those little small legal pads, the 8 by 5.5 ones. And I will write those tasks down, right? It goes onto a separate list. It doesn't go on my must-do list. It doesn't go on my other task list. It goes on a different list.
But you know what I will do sometimes, though? When I've gotten through my major tasks, I look down to see what's the priority I have for my other task. And if there's one that's a little bit lower, or if they're not pressing issues, but they're things I want to get done, I'll look over and go, you know what? Let me take a little extra time and get ahead on the laundry because, we do need to get some laundry done because we need clothes if we're going to go outside tomorrow.
But so the reason that I use paper for this, I find that looking at my entire to-do list, because we're actually transitioning to a new system, but when I would look at NOSB and look at the 9 gazillion things that are already on the list so I can add the next one, then my brain starts going, why aren't I working on this? Wait, you should be working on that. Oh, that's important.
Oh, I have an idea for this.
Right. And then you start to lose focus again. So I find that if I write them down on paper, I can get them out of my mind. Because here's the thing with paper, right? Your brain has a different response to tactile things than it does to things on a computer screen. And how many times have you put a note, maybe you created a notepad document for some notes, or maybe you put in Evernote, or you put in your Google Drive, and then later on you can't find those notes?
Yeah.
Your brain doesn't really trust your computer filing system.
No.
And so, but if you write something down on paper and your brain is like, well, wait a minute, it's right here. It's right in front of her. It's on this little notepad. Your brain will trust it more and your brain will more easily allow you to let go of the thought.
That's right. Because the thing is, expending a thought is much simpler because once you start switching gears, and really open up that browser, open up a new piece of software where you're storing this stuff in that, or starting to go through 35 files to get to that very specific file that it needs to go into so you don't lose it. You're creating a bigger task. You're burning more energy. You're getting towards empty a little faster.
Well, and the other thing too is let's say you have to open up Evernote to put in this reminder. Then your brain is going to go, oh, look at all the things in Evernote.
Yeah.
Oh, we should look at that thing. Oh, wait, have you looked at that thing? Oh, that thing's cool. Oh, wait, maybe you should do that. Oh, have you read that article?
Oh, I bet we have some new Facebook notifications.
Right. And then you're opening the browser and, if you've got other stuff open, oh, I should check my email. That tab's open. Oh, I should do this. That tab's open. And so I find that just having the little notepad or using, the back of my daily focus planner, it minimizes the amount of distraction because it minimizes the amount of inputs that are coming in as I'm trying to get that task out of my brain.
And really, one of the things that you could do, especially if you're connected via Wi-Fi pretty easily, is just go right into your network settings and disable your network. Yes. Even if you're writing blog posts, you can do those in Word or in Notepad or in anything on your local computer and wait till they're done to go post them. Because once again, we can train ourselves the same way we trained ourselves to lose the attention and to lose focus. We can train that focus back into ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. So the more opportunity you give your brain to wander by opening other windows or letting your brain see that there are other things it could be doing, the more likely it is you're going to lose track of your time.
Yeah, because the thing is, we can't get rid of the gas tank of focus for the day. But what we can do is, instead of driving a 1970s pickup truck brain, we can drive like a Prius brain or something like that. Something with a little bit better mileage.
Right, exactly. So one thing that I think has been really helpful for both of us is that we have time blocked off at the end of our day for catch up.
Yes. This is so huge.
And not like tomato ketchup, like catching up on stuff.
Yeah.
And this is where I will deal with those, I call them aha tasks. They're tasks you're like, wait, I should do that. Aha. So all of the tasks that I've kind of written down, I'll look at those and say, do any of these really need to get done in this hour I have for catch up? I'll get things done for my other task list that might not have been done. And then in the last 10 minutes, I will record anything that's not done in whatever my task management system is.
And you can use this for a whole host of things too. So it's like, I'll have a time, especially if I'm expecting an important email around lunch, where I will go through my emails for the first time. And what I'll do is I use Google Inbox and I will schedule a time to get back to them. So if it's something I need to deal with during the course of the day, I will deal with it. Otherwise, I'll schedule it to pop up new again in that block of time. And then I can respond, start reading through some of those newsletters that I got that I love. I'll do that at that point. But I'm trying to remember that, most of the things in the inbox are things people are trying to get from you, so you're starting to work for other people once you spend time in there. Same thing with social media.
Yeah, no, I think Brendon Burchard says your inbox is everyone else's agenda.
Yeah.
And really what that does is it shifts your focus off of things that you think are important to the things that they need are important, that they think are important. So how do you deal with emotional inputs? And what I mean by that is a client calls you and they're stressed out or they're upset or they're angry, or a family member calls you, or you get bad news, the principal calls, your kid failed a test. All of those things are very emotionally draining. And when you're emotionally drained, your focus gets drained as well. I think one of the things that really helps me is determining whether or not I have control over the situation.
That's the first thing I always do. What control do I have in this?
Right. And so, when I get that call from the client, years ago I would be like, oh my God, this is awful. It's terrible. And I get myself all worked up into a bunch over it. Now I sit there and I say, okay, that's terrible. Is there anything that I can do to affect the situation? And, in the case, the client who called me today, I said, listen, I'm going to do some research on something for you that we may or may not need, but I just want it to be done. And I went through and I did that research. And then afterwards I said, okay, I've done everything I can do. I'm going to go focus on something else.
Yeah. After hearing the news, especially with something that I have past history with similar activities. So for me, hearing that news 3 months ago, I would have spent the rest of the day on Skyrim. And today I kept working and I got a lot more stuff done.
Right. So, it's not that you're saying that what's happening isn't important. It's not saying that your feelings aren't important, but there are some times where there's really nothing that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a spiritual person, you may pray for that person, do whatever you can do that's within your power that might be helpful, and then say, okay, I have a lot of people that I serve.
Yeah. And also don't be afraid too. And once again, this is why you have 3 tasks you must get done. And that's why it helps you get focused, is because, okay, I still have another task I have to get to. So now maybe I do take an hour, and maybe I call a few people who might also be impacted and see how they're doing. Or I do a few actions that I do have control over right then, but then it helps free up the mind, and you can get through it enough to get back on what you need to get done for the business as well.
Right, exactly. So recognize that there are emotional things going on, but don't let them stop you from serving.
And if anything, too, think about this, for most people, if they would realize that something bad happening to them takes other people and hurts them as well, that's one of the reasons people don't share that kind of information, because they think, well, I don't want this to be a burden on someone else. And you're letting it be a burden in a way and maybe making it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Best thing you can do is try and live the life the best you can with the most happiness you can at all times.
Right, exactly. So Jeff had talked about, turning off the internet if you don't need it. And that's just to help minimize your distractions.
And you're going to find too, like after a while doing something like that, you don't need to anymore, because your brain now considers it off limits. And it might become a habit that you keep turning it off, but after a while you might realize that you stop going to it the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's real important, building up self-discipline in ourselves, because self-discipline is those things that help us get through those emotional moments, to help get us through, oh my goodness, something didn't work right that I was planning. You need that self-discipline to start building up, and this is a real easy way to do it.
Right. Well, and it's interesting too, because, we met with a friend of ours this week who is, doing a lot of work with children. And he said, the first step, right, in being able to do any sort of higher level functioning is self-control.
Mm-hmm.
And so putting in place, if you need to turn off the internet, right, then do it.
Yeah.
But eventually you're going to teach yourself how to have the self-control to not go on the internet when you shouldn't be.
Yeah. Because really what you're doing is, the reason bad habits are easy to form, of pushing that button to go into the browser so quickly, is because there's little cost to it and it brings you some form of joy. So you're essentially increasing the cost of the time it takes to get to Facebook to start going into that rabbit hole for the next 84 hours. So when you increase the cost there, doing the right things, even though they're not maybe quite as much fun as doing the thing that you were planning to do in the browser, it makes it easier for you to do those things and to build those kind of habits, because we can train our brain to be better.
Right. And I would even recommend, little things like, I know QuickBooks, every time I open my browser, right, because I always have 9 million windows open, my brain is automatically like, oh, let's go look at this. Let's go look at that. Let's check this. Let's check that.
Well, this research I did earlier today, it's wonderful that I still have it here to go over again.
Right. Yeah. So I would look to see, if there are any websites or web applications you use that have a desktop application. Like I know QuickBooks Online, you can actually download a desktop app, so you can just double click on that, kind of like the old QuickBooks, without having to go into your browser. So it helps minimize distraction, and it actually runs a little bit faster.
Well, and also, if I guess that was really a HQ thing, but one of the things that you can do is you can create shortcuts from Google Apps. So like my stencil is a shortcut that I made from the Google App Store, or the Google apps that get installed into the browser. So it's an icon in my file directory where I go to work on the studio stuff. I only see the icons relevant to what I'm doing when I'm in the studio.
Right. No, that's awesome.
And some of them are web apps and some of them aren't. So for any web app, you can do that with.
Okay. So this next one's going to sound kind of counterintuitive. right? Because you're trying to be focused, you're trying to get more done. Take breaks.
Yeah.
Breaks are important. Your brain can only effectively focus for, I think the max is like 60 minutes before like your level of productivity decreases.
Yeah.
Okay. Because remember, it's kind of like when you're working out, right? And you're working out and you're working out and you're working out and you get really tired, right? And there's only so long that you can work out before your body's like, dude, we're done.
And there is a very specific reason why, if you're like us and you're fans of Pomodoro, they picked a 25-minute with a 5-minute break or a 50-minute with a 10-minute break methodology. And that's because those work best for people. And so if you have a really short attention span, do the short blocks. If you have and then that's what I started with. And now I'm up to 50-minute things. And sometimes I have to pull back and go, take your break, Jeffrey. Take your break.
So, there's some things you can do during your breaks. We're big fans of, doing like energy work and doing deep breathing because it kind of helps your blood start flowing, which remember we said we got to distribute that glucose around your brain. Okay. And around your body. If you want to, you can play on Facebook, you can check your email, just be aware that that's going to drain energy from you. Whereas, taking a brief walk or, standing up and doing some jumping jacks or doing something physical or doing some deep breathing to oxygenate your body, those are going to provide focus and energy.
And one of the things I like to do too is I'm working a lot right now trying to create triggers for myself to where I'm training my brain to go through sequences. I go through those and try and if I walk through the door, before I step through the door, I smile and I become happy. I become alert and I become present in the moment, people. You got to be present, and you have to train yourself over and over again. And it feels weird, but as you do these things, it becomes second nature to the fact that it just happens. And when you can train your brain and put it in what they call system one memory, that memory that is always at the bottom, that is low cost energy use. Focusing and using what you consider yourself, your brain, is high energy use. So the more we can train, and that's why you always hear about creating those habits. You got to create those habits.
Yep.
And you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's interesting that you mentioned presence because I found that as I've been working on being more present, I'm less likely to pick up my phone, which I've actually found translates into me being less likely to click on the browser tabs on my computer. So, if you can really work on being present in what you're doing, that will help you with your distraction factor.
And really, too, one of the big ones, if you are worried about that phone call that might come from the principal, or you have a sick relative that you're waiting on either good or bad news for, you can set your do not disturb features on your phone to let certain phone numbers come through. Because very rarely we tell ourselves that it's because there could be an important phone call, but there might be months that go in between those actual phone calls where you really need to respond really quickly. And I'll also typically check on my break really quickly. Do I have any missed calls? Are there any messages? Either text or audio, which the only two way people seem to leave messages are usually text anymore. But sometimes you still get voicemails from people. I look for those two icons. I put the phone back in my pocket because I have other things that I know if I create these habits in myself, that I can spend a lot less of my energy in my brain on doing tasks that used to really just burn it all out of me.
Yeah. So you can create more focus, okay, by doing things like eating better, by moving more, okay, by taking breaks throughout the day. There are also lots of things that you can do to stop draining your focus as quickly. Stay off social media, stay out of your email first thing in the morning, do some planning, get enough sleep.
Turn boring work into habit routines.
Right. Exactly. Do the things that require the most focus first thing in the day.
The most important work of your business should happen in the morning.
Right. And so one thing that we are super excited to offer you guys is, I mentioned the Small Biz Daily Focus Planner. And if you want to sign up for this and get more tips on how to be more productive during your day, you can go to smallbizlife.com/focus. Okay. And that will allow you to sign up and download the planner and get some more free content from us on this subject.
Yep. No, and trust us, we try and make it easy because I'm a big believer that if we try and move to 100% day one, that's when we're really likely to fail. But if we can just layer in one new thing and just keep layering it in, it's really blown my mind how quickly I've advanced, and I've had to pull back sometimes. My wife will be like, you need to slow down, Jeffrey. You need to slow down because you're starting to overperform and then risk burning out.
Right. So, this is a 1-page daily planner that you can print out. It's front and back. It'll help you plan your day, put together your must-do list. We even have you track your meals so you remember to eat, because remember, you need that fuel in order to be able to focus. So again, smallbizlife.com/focus. We'd love to have you check it out. We know our HQ members absolutely love it. They've actually had this for a little while and have helped us.
Actually give them a huge shout out for this because it's our idea, but they really helped us take it to the next level. So really, if you know anyone who's in HQ and you like this thing, give them a thanks.
Yeah, absolutely, because they were really instrumental in getting it to where it is right now. So we hope you'll check it out. Again, smallbizlife.com/focus, and we'll see you next time.
This was Small Biz Life.